Hey guys, I'm Kelly, the nurse who questions. And today we're going to be diving into cannabis, not the politics, but the actual biology. So let's start with something that a lot of people don't realize. Your body is already wired for this plant. We have a built-in network called the endocannabinoid system. It's made of receptors, mainly CB1 and CB2. They're spread throughout your brain, your spinal cord, immune system, and gut. This system helps regulate pain, mood, appetite, inflammation, stress response, sleep, basically a ton of daily functions that keep you alive and sane. So when somebody uses cannabis, the compounds in the plant aren't coming out of nowhere. So THC, CBD, and other cannabinoids bind to the receptors. And that's why people can feel less pain, less nausea, calmer, hungrier, or sleepier. Now here's a truth that often gets skipped. Certain disorders like seizure disorders, chemo-related nausea, MS-related spasticity, anxiety, general pain, inflammation, or sleep. Marijuana can really help those disorders. I'm not claiming it's a miracle plant. I'm not saying it's not harmless. It's a drug. And like every drug, it affects everybody differently. For some people, it can be helpful, and for others, it may not be good at all. But that's okay. But what doesn't move us forward is demonizing an entire plant solely on a single negative experience, or not having an experience at all. So pop quiz. As of 2025, how many U.S. states have legalized cannabis for recreational use? If you guessed 24 plus Washington, D.C., there are around 39 to 40 states that have actually legalized it for medicinal purposes, and the other 24 were recreationally. But this is the part that still blows my mind. It's still federally illegal. Cannabis is still sitting in Schedule 1 next to heroin under the federal law. Makes me want to question why? Why could that be? Is it really for our best interests? Is our government looking out for the people? That creates a bizarre tension where millions of people use it legally under state law, but technically illegally under federal law. Now let's look at the part that nobody actually wants to say out loud, and you try to connect the dots. And then you sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist. Keeping cannabis federally illegal gives big industries like tobacco, alcohol, and big pharma time to prepare to take over once federal legalization eventually comes to fruition. And guess what happens? The small growers, independent markets, they don't tend to survive when billion-dollar industries enter the room. Capitalism at its finest, baby. Have you ever heard of the military-industrial complex? I think you know what I'm getting at. There's also this thing called the prison industrial complex. For decades, marijuana arrests fueled mass incarceration, especially in colored communities, feeding a system that profits from cheap prison labor, fines, and court fees. So when we talk about cannabis, we're not just talking about a plant. We're talking about economics, politics, power. Some people believe that the government resists mind-altering substances because they don't want a curious population. They want a compliant one. So whether you agree or not, that belief didn't come out of nowhere. So again, I'm just going to reiterate, cannabis is not for everybody. Some people get anxious, paranoid, or completely disconnected. But for adults who use it thoughtfully and intentionally and in moderation, a lot of people find it more safe and more manageable than alcohol or cigarettes. I think that's a tricky one to debate. So why am I talking about this today? Is it because I'm sitting in a dispensary parking lot? No! Because understanding how cannabis actually works in the body gives you power. It separates fear from fact, propaganda from physiology, and politics from personal choice. And I am not here to judge anybody's use or non-use. I'm here to help people understand what they're putting into their bodies and why it works the way it does.